All right, class, so here's page 2 of Unit 6. Okay, so in the previous page, we learned how to write the equation. So like we took the word varies, we translated it to say equals k, and then we put all the other variables around it. So today's lesson, we're going to do the same thing, but then we have one more step. We're actually going to find the constant k, the constant of variation, and in our equation, we use the letter k. So the first thing, let's get our equation. So it says here, the number of muffins sold varies. So whenever you see the word varies, you're going to write equals k. Directly means multiplication with the amount of sales. Now we don't have letters here, but we can just, make up our own variables. So we can put M for muffins and then S for sales. So M equals K and with the amount of sales. So times K. And I'm saying times K because it's directly. And that's why I have to do K times S. And now that I have my equation, I'm going to read the rest of the problem so I can plug numbers in and find what our constant is. So if it says there are 8 muffins, so muffins, I have 8 muffins, and are sold with the amount of sales, so my sales is equal to $20. Find the constant. Okay, so we're just going to take these numbers and then we're going to plug it in here, and then we're going to solve for k. So if I plug them in here, M is equal to 8 muffins, so there are 8 muffins times k, and then equals k times S. My sales is $20, so I'm just going to put 20 right there. And then now we solve for k. We got to get k by itself. So in order to get k by itself, we need to divide both sides by 20. And so you have k equals 8 divided by 20, which is, you can just put it in decimal. So you can do 8 divided by 20. And you get a decimal. So you can either put 0.4 or you can change it into a fraction if it's not a crazy fraction, 2/5. So this would be my answer. It's asking me to find the constant of variation, so that's what I did. I found k. Okay, so always first step is to build your equation. Then we're going to use the equation and find our constant of variation. Okay, so there's always 2 steps to it. So there's the first step, build our equation, and then second step, find the constant of variation. So let's do the first step here. It says, if y varies directly as x and y, sorry, I read that wrong. If y varies directly as x and y equals -24 when x is equal to 4, find the constant of variation. So I need to first build my equation using this part. It doesn't go all the way here. So you have varies, so you have y varies directly means multiplication times x. And then we need to find the variable. So you have y equals -24. So y equals -24, so I'm going to plug that in right there. So y is -24 equals k, and we'll find out what k is, times x, and then x is equal to 4. So to find k, you need to just divide both sides by 4. So you have k equals, that would be -6. -24 divided by 4 is -6. And that's what I found, my constant of variation. Number 3, it says if y varies inversely as x and y is equal to 3 when x is equal to 4, find the constant of variation. So we're going to go ahead and find our equation. So you have y varies inversely. Whenever you have inversely, you put a division symbol, and then you have your x in the denominator. let me write that a little better. So you have y equals k over x. I found my equation. Now I'm going to find my constant of variation by plugging in my values. So y is equal to 3. Let me just bring this over. So y is equal to 3. And then you have k, which we'll find out. And then we have x is equal to 4. And then now we solve for k. So to solve for k, since solve for k, since 4 is in the denominator, we need to multiply both sides by 4. That crosses it out. So you have k equals 4 times 3, which is 12. My constant of variation is equal to 12. Number 4, it says the cost of a cake varies jointly as the cake's thickness and the square of the radius. Okay, that's a mouthful, but we can do it. So you know that I see the word varies. So my first step is just gonna go ahead and put equals k for the word varies, and then you have the cost varies. So I'm just gonna use C for cost. Let me put a little key here. And actually, let me do it this way. Let me just say this is going to be equal to C. And then this is C over here. And so the cost equals K jointly as the cake's thickness. So jointly just means that you have more than one variable, and since it doesn't say inversely, it says jointly, so I'm gonna just multiply it with the k. And the square of the radius. So you have your radius and then you have it squared. None of it says inverse, so I'm just gonna leave it all being multiplied. There's my equation. And then the second step is we're gonna plug in all of these numbers. So we have to find what C is equal to, what T is equal to, and then what R is equal to. It says find the constant of variation if the cake that is 12 inches thick, 10 centimeters in radius, so the radius is equal to 10, and then the cost is equal to 30. Okay, so there are my numbers. Now I'm going to plug it into this equation. So let me rewrite this quickly. And then I'm going to plug in all these numbers. So my cake is equal to 30. And then my time is equal to 12. And then my radius is equal to 10. And you have squared. And then I'm going to figure all this out. So let me go ahead and do this side first. Let me simplify this. So 12 times 10 squared. So exponents first and then multiplication. When we do order of operation, you don't do 12 times 10 and then squared. You do 10 squared and then times 12. Or you can just put it in decimals. It does order of operations for you beautifully. Okay. So you have here 12 times 10, which is being squared. So that is 1200. Yeah. And then to get k by itself, you need to divide both sides by 1200. That crosses out, so you have k equals 30 divided by 1200. So we have here 30 divided by 1200 is 0.025, or you can go ahead and click that and turn it into a fraction. So it's 0.025. All right, here's the last, well, two more examples. They seem a little more wordier, but that's okay. We'll just take it step by step. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the equation, right? So it says here, the time required to complete a job varies. So there's my equals k. What equals k? The time equals k. Inversely, so I'm going to put a division bar with the number of people working. So I'll just put P for people. It says it took 20 hours. So the time equals 20 hours for 5 painters, so 5 people, to paint a room at home. What is K? Now we're just going to plug it in. So you have 20 equals K over P, which is 5. And then you have, to get 5 out of the denominator, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. So 20 times 5 is 100 equals, what am I doing? Sorry, should write a 5 there, my bad. Equals K. So 100, my constant is 100. Alright, it says the force needed to keep a car from skating on a curb, there's my word varies, equals K. Here's my first part. What equals K? It says the force needed to, so the force equals K. I'm just going to put F for force. Directly means multiplying as the weight of the car. So you have here multiplied by W. So you have your F, your force, your weight, and the square of the speed. So directly with the weight and the speed, and your speed is being squared. Inversely as the radius. So inversely means the radius goes in the denominator. So here's a bunch of letters, and so we need to make sure to find all of them. So let's go ahead and put in these numbers. So it says that 3,960 pound force. So your force is 3,960 is required to keep a 2,200 pound. So that is your weight. Traveling at 40 miles per hour, that is your speed. And it has a radius of 500. Okay, so now we have to find what K is equal to. So we need to put all of these numbers in here. All right, if my force is equal to that is equal to K, and then W, my weight is 2,200 times my speed is 40, and my speed is being squared, all over my radius R, which is 500. Okay, that's a lot of numbers, but we're just gonna try to figure all this out. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna take all of this part right here, and I'm just gonna get one number out of it by just putting it in decimals. So I'm gonna do 2,200, and then you have 40 squared, and then you have divided by 500. Okay, I'm gonna just hit enter. Well, I don't have to hit enter. All that equals 7,040. All right, and then now to get K by itself, oh, that's my final alarm, hold on. That's generally what happens when my husband is cooking. Okay, anyway. So you have this, so let's figure out what this is. So you have 3,960 divided by 7040. And so you have K equals 0.5625. Okay, so those are your practice problems for this.